Could this be the best way to make crispy, crunchy fried oyster mushroom for your party? I think so, because this fried oyster mushroom recipe makes everyone wondering if it's chicken. But it's not. Let's listen to the sound. So this oyster mushroom vegan chicken is perfect at a party as a vegan appetizer. Let's get started on this oyster mushroom recipe and welcome to Alchemy. So here's 1.2 pounds of oyster mushroom which costs $5. These look pretty big. And nope, I'm not body shaming the mushroom, it's just that it helps for this recipe and you will shortly see why. I have split each of them into 2 pieces and given them a good wash before cooking it on the stove. While washing them down, I had some water on the stove to boil. We transfer these oyster mushrooms into the boiling pot of water. Let these oyster mushrooms get cooked for about 10 minutes. So why do we do it this way? This oyster mushroom vegan chicken is not deep fried unlike the earlier recipe in the channel. So we need the mushrooms to be cooked before I shallow fry them. That way, I use less oil but end up with cooked, crispy, crunchy oyster mushrooms that still looks like vegan chicken. Once it's past 10 minutes, remove them and drain it. Right now, it's too hot to handle this. So let's wait until they are at room temperature. It's time to prepare the marinade for which we need chili sauce or sriracha. Then we add in about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Then we add equal amount of turmeric and pepper. The last ingredient is garlic powder. We are not going to use these oyster mushrooms just as they are because we need the marinade to be soaked by these beautiful oyster mushrooms. These are now at room temperature. And so we start off by unraveling this cylindrical mushroom into one straight line with some thickness. You have to keep it thin and not thick because we need as much as marinade to get absorbed. Once it's opened up, flip it over and start making horizontal cuts from one end to the other end. Once you reach the other end, do the horizontal cut again so that you end up with the rhombus or diamond cuts on the oyster mushroom. This is how we get the marinade to seep inside of the mushroom. Bring back the marinade and give it a mix. Place all the oyster mushrooms inside it, and as you can see, there's not too much of marinade. So we coat each of them well enough, along the cuts especially, so that it absorbs the flavor. Because this is an easy vegan appetizer recipe, I wanted to keep the ingredients to minimum, but you can always play around with adding more things like dried parsley, onion powder, etc. Now let's rest this for 30 minutes and meanwhile move on to preparing the batter. Here I am using a frying mix from an Asian market. This is all Korean language and I cannot read this. But hey, there is an ingredient list which is in English. These ingredients look fine to me. How much flour needed depends on how much of oyster mushrooms are in that marinade. I started off with 6 tablespoons of flour, but I did add 2 more to shallow fry the remaining mushrooms. Before adding water to the flour mix, heat the pan with some oil for shallow frying the oyster mushrooms. Add cold water. Start by adding little by little, and it should look something like this. To give the crispy, crunchy texture, panko crumbs is a wonderful idea. So here we have the marinated oyster mushrooms, batter, and the panko crumbs. So take a piece of the mushroom, give them a good bath in the batter, and then onto the panko crumbs. Cover every inch of that mushroom with the panko, and then fry. Now do not add more than 1 or 2 pieces at a time, because that would bring down the temperature of the oil. Keep the flame to the medium and flip them over to the other side only when you find one side is browned. That should take about 3 to 4 minutes. As you can see, these fried oyster mushrooms look completely transformed into vegan chicken nuggets, or more like vegan fish. I should have made some french fries, cause then it would have completed the look. But now listen to the sound. If you like the video, give it a like and share it to folks whom you think would enjoy this video. Now, why should you make this recipe? Well, this oyster mushroom vegan chicken recipe would be a wonderful choice for your parties as it fits as a vegan appetizer with its crunchy, crispy texture. And if that's not the case, you can also cut them into strips and serve with a bowl of rice and sliced cucumbers. That would make a complete meal, isn't it? And speaking of complete meals, here's a one-pot meal recipe or a seafood mushroom recipe, and I shall see you on the next video.